And it becomes tough whenever we look at the defensive side. And right now, they have some questions at depth on the defensive side. You look at edge for them right now, they're tinkering. They're moving some interior guys, some interior linemen out to edge, the outside linebacker spot to try and tinker with that. They were the 89th defense in the nation last year. I'm hopeful that they can continue building. But when you look at what they've lost in the transfer portal, when you look at the tinkering they're doing, it feels like they're still another year or two out from being where they really want to be, which is unfortunate because you're not a year or two out with Spencer Rattler.
That's true.
That's my biggest question. Now, that being said, solid recruiting class. And if we actually look at the class of 2024 right now, they're a top 10 class. Nothing but time and opportunity left, but that's he's up on the gunslinger a little bit.
If I could just put this for Spencer Rattler, I think if we just go off of last season, there's three Spencer Rattlers. Okay, there is the Spencer Rattler against Georgia, Spencer Rattler that played against Tennessee, and then the Spencer Rattler that played against Clemson. Obviously, you would love to have the Spencer Rattler that goes crazy against Tennessee, but I think a gutsy performance, a consistent performance, let's call it that, against Clemson, that's what you're looking for him. That's what you're looking for.
Yeah.
His performance in that Clemson game was consistent on the road, even when they were up and then they were down. They were down for a while, still pulled it out. He was consistent. He made the right reads. He made a lot of right throws. And he made the correct throws, and he didn't go for the home run. Usually, he's chipper about trying to throw that deep ball and whatnot. He worked the field and he did what he needed to do. And I just feel like that Spencer Rattler right there is what a lot of Oklahoma fans were wanting to see. I mean, hell, we had to see it those first 5 games that he started, but at the same time, I think that if you can get a mix of him of the Spencer Rattler against Clemson in Tennessee, that's what you're wanting to see. You wanted to see him take it to that next level and step back into that elite quarterback conversation in the nation.
If I may, Jay, before you throw your opinion in here, because I'm actually very interested in hearing from you, especially that your second team is Tennessee. You're going to have a bit more of an insight into South Carolina, just being that y'all align on that side of the bracket. In fairness, Chris and Hank, I'll ease up on the gunslinger a little bit. In fairness, when we look at how he ended the year, his final 3 games, that's what you want. It's not about how you start. It's about how you finish. And he finished his final 3 games against Tennessee, 438 yards, 6 touchdowns. Against Clemson, 360 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. But that's a Clemson defense. We know what that defense does. And against Notre Dame in a losing effort, 246 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. I mean, that's respectable numbers against a grindy game like Notre Dame. We know how that game's going to go. So, yeah, it's super interesting to think about.
AJ, hold on real quick, Jay. I only got one thing about Rattler again is the gunslinger mentality, I think, is what makes him, right?
Yeah.
But the thing about him is short memory. He needs to be able to have a short memory. You're gonna throw some picks, right? I mean, that's his style of play. But like Hank says, play within the offense. And if you do make a mistake, have a short memory. Don't get down on yourself. Because we would see when he was in the Big 12, when he would make a mistake, he gets so down on himself. Yeah. It's like he wants to be so perfect. And he's a perfectionist, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. But it's just knowing the opportunity to be a perfectionist. That, this league, playing college ball, you're not going to be perfect. You're going to throw some picks, man. Throw them, shake it off, come back in the game and do your thing. I think that's the mental part that I'm getting at is he gets a little bit down on himself when he doesn't perform to the level he thinks he should, but just shake it off. It's a short memory game. If your defense gets you the ball back, you're going to have a time, in that game to go prove yourself that you got one of the best arms in the country.
And that's spot on right there. I think that's the biggest thing I had with Spencer Rattler, and from him in his Oklahoma time and his time at South Carolina is you've got to have that short memory. You got to be prepared to go out there and be okay with making a mistake and go. Like I'm looking at the Georgia State game where he had like 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He really found his stride against Tennessee. That's when I think it clicked for him and the confidence started to show up, because from there he had the 438, then he had the 360, and then the 246 against Notre Dame. And he carved up one team that didn't have a defense, which is Tennessee. And he did really good against a team that does have a defense, which is Clemson. Yeah. And so the bigger thing with him is that he's got to play with more confidence, even though he's known for being a cocky SOB. He's to be more confident in himself and less cocky and just go out there and play his game. I think he'll be fine. I mean, he's got the size. He's got an arm. He can play. But if he's out there playing timid, you're going to see a lot of those Georgia State games out of him, more of those like against Missouri, games that shouldn't show up. And that's the only fear I've had with him is he was basically ordained walking in the door that, oh, he's the number 1 pick as soon as he gets, available for the draft. And I think he took that to heart.
Yeah.
And stopped working. That's the problem. You know what I'm saying? Like it was because, I mean, you've got Baker and you've got Kyler.
Now it's him.
And you had Jalen playing
point.
that like he should have been a number 1 pick, didn't end up that way, and now he's in the NFL. We're recognizing, oh snap, he probably should have been a first-round pick. He was thinking that, oh yeah, I'm down the line next. I'm that next guy, and he didn't play like it during the COVID year. Which, granted, that was a COVID year. That was a really weird year for all of us. But the minute he had pressure behind him, dude started to fold. You started to see it. Start to see the nerves in his eyes, and it's like, hey man, you walked in here from the Netflix special with just cockiness. You were calling people trash on television. We were like, oh man, he's going to walk out here and do some special stuff. And then you do that when Caleb's right behind you. That's where my concern came in. But I think when he got to South Carolina, he got his mind right and recognized that, no, I need to start really putting in more work. And I think he did. Now, is he a first-round pick? Probably not. He's at best third when it goes to the draft. But if he continues to play like he did those last 3 games of the season, I can see him not only upping his draft stock, but I think them in South Carolina will hit a good bowl game this year. I don't think they go very far as far as, like, I'm not going to say playoffs. I'm not going to be absurd. But I do think that they can go to a good bowl game if he shows up and shows up with confidence.
Hey, Jay, I'm a counter you on that. I don't know about third round. If he has a good season this year, if he shows out this year, he's not getting out of the second round.
You don't think so?
If he shows out this year, we see
upside.
Teams need quarterbacks so bad. I mean, look at Will Levis, man. I'm not saying I'm bad about. I mean, he has the proper size. He had a good season last year, and he's had a good career. But when you stack it all up, did anybody ever think that Will Levis was going to be a first round pick, a top 5 pick, probably coming out of college, a top 5? Did you?
I didn't think top 5. I thought he was first round. But I think he was a mistake. Like, to me, and I kind of subscribe to a similar mindset of some other talking heads that I listen to.
Yeah.
That if you're drafted like 15 to 30,
you
don't ever draft a quarterback in there because they're not going to be any good. And statistically, we've seen it. None of them are ever any good. Aaron Rodgers was the exception, but he also set for 3 years. Yeah, that's where your exception comes in. He set for 3 years. Usually, if you draft somebody in the first round, they're going to play that season. Yeah, and they always falter.
Jordan Love incoming.
Yeah, there you go.
Right, Jordan Love, luckily, he set for 4 years.
Well, hold on. Lamar Jackson.
Lamar Jackson was 32. I said 15 to 30.
I'm sorry.
31 and 32.
Man, he's got it.
This is the reason why I say it.
That's
30 to 32. 30 to 32. You pick though. You trade up to get 30 and 32 to get that 5th year. That way, if they're not a bust, you've got that 5th extra year to figure out that contract. But 15 to 30, no. Unless they're going to sit for 5 years, it's a struggle. I got Ty over here like, whoa.
No, that was actually super dope. He was like, no,
that was a lot of thought.
That was dope. That was sick. I like that.
It's a fascination I have on that quarterback spot because if you just go back, like you mentioned, Nick, you said it perfectly. There is a deficiency at the quarterback position. There is not enough supply for the demand, and every time you look up, they throw these guys out there, and they all falter. Yeah. And it's all because it's hard playing quarterback in the NFL today. Even with the rules in their favor, The athletes on that defensive line are too good. Hence why most teams are actually shifting to a run-first offense and power run. Philadelphia, why they were so good at it, because these defensive linemen are so small and they all run 4.4 40s. Like, you can't, it's going to be hard to throw the ball when a dude's getting to you in less than 2 seconds. And so that's why I have in that between that number. If Will Levis falls in between there, dude has no chance. It's unfortunate for him. He's going to go to a team that's halfway decent, and they're going to force him to play, and he's going to, unless he sits, he's going to suck.
He better hope that he goes to the Colts like they said. But let me I got one question and we can end it here on this and this is going to transition. This is a Spencer Rattler question. Regardless of how their season goes, should he throw at the combine next year?
Yes.
Because he's going to dazzle.
Yes, he needs to throw. He's not that good where he can sit out. He's not.
Yeah,
I shouldn't say he's not that good, but what I should say
he's not that highly rated anymore.
Yeah, he's not.
He's not like when he first came in.
He's not Bryce Young. He's not Bryce Young. Everybody knows Bryce is a number 1 or number 2 pick in the draft this year, and he didn't have to throw. We knew what Bryce was going to do.
I think it's the knock on him. I think it's the knock. It's the transfer. How things went, kind of the attitude, that's going to be pretty much the bulk of questions that he gets.
No, but that's why
it's more of the.
Yeah, no, I'm
I think
just saying,
it's more of the. He did not live up to scouts' expectations because remember, going into the 21 season, he was touted at 21 season. He was touted as the number 1 draft pick.
Yeah,
he was supposed to be number 1 in this draft, year's draft. He was supposed to be number 1, and because of that season, it was like no.
Yeah. But that's a good piece of humble pie for him because, I think that's something that was probably needed for him.
He's been the best his whole life.
Yeah. So it's this generation of athlete has been groomed and taken care of since they've been in 5th, 6th grade, and he's probably been told he's the best thing since sliced bread. He came from a really good family. He's always had the best. I mean, we saw the show. He's driving really nice cars and stuff. I mean, he had it, right? He had everything he could ever want, everything he could ever need, and he just happened to be so talented. And it was a time to step into a little bit of humble ground right now. And hey, he's made the best of it in South Carolina. He has. But hey, we're going to transition to another football team in the SEC. We're going to talk about Florida. Last year Napier's team went 6-6 last year. What are you guys, expectations here for Florida here for going on in 2023?
Well, look, there's a lot. And it's interesting when you look at Florida because they actually lost a lot of pieces to the transfer portal. Yes. And I think that's kind of Napier really building his culture. The interesting thing is usually we see that the first year as opposed to the second. Now, maybe that'll be a help to him. Maybe that will grant him like an understanding. It's equally logical that it does, that it doesn't, right? I don't know. I do think right now, though, when we look at Florida, there's an interesting quarterback battle going on there. I'm interested in what the offensive line is going to look like because of all the pieces that have left. And I'm interested in that defense. I say this every time we talk Florida. They were left a Ferrari, but when you got up to the car, you realized someone stole the engine and it's on cinder blocks. And you just have the shell of a Ferrari. And I don't mean that as an insult, Florida fans. What I'm saying that to give you is an explanation as to why you were just 6-6. That is why you were just 6-6. Billy Napier was not handed the keys to a car ready to go. And unfortunately, I don't know that car is just going to be built and ready to go this year. But I do think it's going to be going in the right direction. The quarterback battle for Florida is, I mean, guys, if we're ranking the most intriguing quarterback battles in the SEC, if we said the top 5, it's got to come in the top 5, right?
No.
I mean, it'd be in there for me. Yeah, top 5 quarterback battles within the SEC, it's got to come in there, right? Like highly.
Because it's Miller and Mertz, right? Those are the
Miller
two?
and Mertz is really the two that I'm thinking and looking at. Yeah.
Mertz, I mean, but what do you guys think of Mertz? Honestly. I mean, he was kind of mid, when he was in Wisconsin, right? I mean, he was he was a mid quarterback, 38 touchdowns, 26 interceptions, nothing really special about him. does he magically come to Florida and open up to be a great player? Is he a Joe Burrow that comes on and he was just a tough ass player, and then his last year he lights it up? I don't think so.
But that I don't think that's what I don't think that's what Napier wants right now. I think Napier is used to having a game manager. If you go back to the quarterback that he had at was it Lafayette, or was it just Louisiana that he was
the
at?
Cajuns.
Yeah, it was the Cajuns. That was Lafayette.
Raging Cajuns.
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, when he was there, that quarterback was really good.
I forgot his name too. He was good. Yeah.
Yeah, he was really good. He wasn't a game changer totally. I mean, he could be, but he wasn't a total game changer. Right? But there were times where he was just a solid college starter for Napier, and he knew Napier's tendencies, and he ran that offense. So
there you go, serviceable quarterback.
Levi Lewis.
Yeah.
Hank said it best. Can we just say a serviceable quarterback?
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, I think that's what he wants from those two, from Jack Miller and Graham Mertz, because they've left a lot to the imagination. Jack Miller was a high 4-star, went to Ohio State, obviously got beat out by C.J. Stroud.
Yep.
Went to Florida. Then you have Graham Mertz, who he didn't really do all that much at Wisconsin. But you've seen him be serviceable. We've seen him with a good running game, what he can at least be, Yeah. So I guess the whole thing is just
highlight Stubby's comment, because they do have they have a rough schedule, man.
Who does?
Florida. It's gonna be rough.
Yeah.
Hey Ty,
yes, sir.
But to piggyback on your offensive line statement there, I did a little research on the offensive line this morning, and they did lose, Torrance, right? He's going to the draft this year, as a guard. And so that guard spot has to be filled. What they did do is they went to go get the Baylor transfer at right guard. And I can never say this. Yeah, he was the second highest rated guard in the Big 12 last year.
Micah Mazuka.
Yeah, he's pretty good. They got a center who started all 13 games last year, and I think the last 2 seasons.
They got Damian George from Bama and then Keontae Goodwin.
Damian George is the one where is he going to be the right tackle that everybody thinks he can be? I like what they have at left tackle. So Austin Burton, he was a freshman All-American last year. Big kid, 6'6", kind of slender guy for a 6'6" guy, about 310. But he was a freshman All-American last year. But Damian George, that's the piece I'm looking at. Is Damian George going to be the guy that we saw in high school at North Shore, who was dominant? And then goes to Alabama and didn't play much there, but it's Bama. There's a lot of depth in front of him, right? But is he that guy that can man that right tackle position? I think Damian George is a little too big for the position right now. I think he needs to slender down, which is about 370 pounds right now. So he's one of those guys that needs to, I think, kind of get the weight management down a little bit, because all the physical tools are there. But if he can man that right tackle position, I think they're going to be just fine on the O-line.
Yeah,
I'm looking at Keontae Goodwin.
Yeah, Goodwin.
I'm about to ask, do you think Goodwin can take that spot?
I think Goodwin will take the spot.
Yeah. You think so?
I'll tell you, the one Damian George, I agree with you, man. He's a damn cinder block.
Yeah.
And he gets his hands on you. That's it. That's game over, right? And I mean, like even a good edge that's played SEC ball, Big 10 ball, Big 12 ball. He gets his hands on you, it's over. I forgot to stream this to my audience. Okay, let's do this real quick. I'll do that later. I got to title it and everything. I'm lazy. So
Yeah, Nick, you got to start posting like the title and topics and stuff so that we can just copy and paste.
Okay, I got you.
But no, the only thing I like Keontae Goodwin on, and this isn't a knock on Damian George. I think this is just like acknowledging, I think this is what separates Keontae Goodwin, and I think this is what made him so coveted coming out of high school is his footwork. I just think it's a bit more well-rounded than Damian George, and I think that's going to be big for that right tackle position, especially where you might not have an Anthony Richardson who can just get up and get out. You're going to need that flexibility, that really solid footwork. And Damian George has it, but I think that kind of goes back into your point, Nick. I think that it's the footwork and he's a little bit leaner.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Now, Ty, how about this? Can you see Damian George playing left guard? Could he play guard position?
I think so.
I think guard's his natural position. I think at the next level, he's kind of tall for guard, but I think he'll be an outstanding guard here in the SEC.
I think so. I actually really think guard is where he'd be at.
Yeah, especially with his weight, because he's hard to move. He's strong as
Impossible.
not. He's strong as not. You got a guy 365, 370, standing about 6'6", right? Was it 6'5", 6'6"?
6'6.5".
Yeah,
6'6",
so let's say 6'7" with shoes on at 375 pounds or 370 pounds. A long wingspan. Once he gets his hands on you, it's a wrap.
It's done.
I think he's the guy that can be in the middle and do some great things, open some holes for those guys, man. So, yeah.
I know our man down here at the bottom. He's just, look at him. He's done with us.
Oh, Chris?
Yeah, look at him. He's just
What's wrong, Chris?
I'm ready to get to the main event, man. That's all I could think about.
Oh, man. Come on, man.
Wait, hold on. Let's unpack this, right? Let's unpack this. Do you not think that Napier is the main event? What's going on, man?
No. Look. I like I told you, I think I'm still high on Napier. They got some questions to answer.
Yeah,
Napier and Cristobal better be thankful that things didn't go as planned in Norman last year, because they did not get as much heat as anybody else.
Flowers. They owe him an edible arrangement, whatever they need. And Chris, I've said this to you. Mario Cristobal, established head coach, established recruiter, goes to Miami. And I'm not saying Miami was ready to go, right? I'm not saying that they were a supercar. Was Miami substantially worse off than Oklahoma in terms of talent there after the Exodus Oklahoma experience? I don't believe so.
Yeah.
And yet Brent Venables had just as good of a year, if not better, because he didn't lose to guys, you're down in the dumps when you lose to a team that's 4 letters in the acronym. 4. MTSU. MTSU. You lost to a 4-letter acronym team. That is inexcusable.
That's fair. That's so fair. That is so, I don't even know what to say. That is so fair. Wow.
I was thinking, I'm looking at hey, you know what? UTSA wasn't bad this year. I mean, they're 4, but
get out of here. Although they have that.
Y'all were fighting
back.
for y'all's life at one point in that game. So yeah, I totally get why you said that.
Sincere McCormick, is he still there at UTSA? Sincere
I'm not
McCormick?
sure if he is or not.
God, he was good.
Yeah, but the quarterback's staying for another year, so he'll be back next year. And so, all right, Chris is good.
Well, I was just gonna say I do expect them to be somewhat better, but I think it's one of those things where he has to be one of those coaches who just tells his team, like, hey, get me to the last 2 minutes and we'll win. We can win. I think that they have talent to go and blow out some teams, but it's going to be a struggle against some other teams simply because I don't think they have the quarterback play. And it's been, well, I mean, obviously you could say Kyle Pitts, but damn, I mean, when is the last time they've had like a true star receiver?
Kadarius Toney.
I mean, Kadarius Toney was honestly, he was a running back, but just became Percy Harvin overnight.
I hear you on that. I think that's fair. I think that's fair.
But I can't think of really.
I can't either, man.
Used to.
Yeah, I mean,
because I can't think of anything else, I'm going to get loud and say Kadarius Toney again louder. So Kadarius Toney.
Kadarius Toney.
Yeah.
But Ty, to answer your question, Sincere McCormick plays for the Raiders.
Gotcha.
He was in NFL last season, so yeah.
Gotcha.
But
cool.
yeah.
He was a beast.
Before he was such a monster.
He was a beast.
Yeah.
He was such a beast.
I'm sorry, Chris. Come back.
Come on, Chris, man. We're going to go to the main event, man.
I said it too loud. I apologize.
All right.
Time. Somebody said Chris is on the edible.
All right, let's get ready to rumble here. Chris is waiting for the main attraction here. Topic number 4. Texas versus OU. Who is SEC ready for the 2024 season? Chris, I'm gonna let you start this.
No. Let Ty start first. Let's get the outside opinion today. All right.
Well, look, I think if you're asking me, and we're saying right now, I think it's hard for me not to say Texas just because I think they're in a better position going into 2023. And I think that's just by extension of them not having been gutted a year ago. right? Like Brent Venables is dealing
That's
with a
fair.
situation where his team wasn't completely gutted, and Texas is a year ahead on everything. On everything. Now, make no mistake here and understand what I'm saying. I'm saying going into 2023. Going into 2024, this is the interesting thing, guys. When I look at Oklahoma's recruiting in the class of 2024, they are in the midst of some real interesting battles for a lot of the top tier defensive linemen. Y'all had a top 5 recruiting class in the nation while going 6 and 7. That's impressive. See, I know we say that a lot, and it's easy to just have that hit you and not digest it. Think about this. Miami was recruiting their ass off when Cristobal got there, and they ran into a brick wall, and their recruiting ran into a brick wall. A&M, number 1 class in the nation, 9 5-stars, runs into a brick wall. Their recruiting runs into a brick wall. Oklahoma, they run into that same brick wall, and their recruiting runs through the brick wall. I think that's notable. And that's why I remain high on Brent Venables in Oklahoma. You want to check the temperature of a program, don't ask me. Don't ask, an analyst. They can give you a complete logical take filled with all the factual information, but football is such a fickle game. We can give you all the logic, and then the exact opposite comes out. Listen to the players. And they're so excited every time they leave Norman, visit. It's the same reason why I was intrigued by this Texas staff, because you heard a lot of the same things. This is different. Mm-hmm. This is different. This is different. So going into 2024, whenever the move happens, look, if Oklahoma continues at that point, Nick, if I'm not mistaken, y'all will be at the point where you're starting to lose a lot of the pieces that are so high on your team, such as the defensive line. Don't y'all have 2 junior defensive linemen that are pretty key?
Yeah. All right. So I can see that for the defensive line. Yeah. I was thinking more for the offensive side. I think
offensive line, you're good.
We'll be running. But
not worried about the offensive line.
Yeah, definitely. Defensive line, Sweat's going to be gone, and Alfred Collins is going to be gone.
So you see the picture I'm starting to paint here. It's going into 2023, Texas is just a year ahead on everything. And so it's only natural that they're in a better position. Going into 2024, that's where you start to see some of the development come in for this Texas staff with Sark, and they're going to start sending more guys to the NFL. Oklahoma is going to be on the other end of that, where now their young guys are coming up. Who's going to be more ready? I hate to give this answer. I truly do, but I think it is a toss-up, and I think the most telling factor will be 2023. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. But right now, if y'all are making the move next year, Texas, I think, because they feel very good about their quarterback room, they feel very good about their offensive line, which I'm not saying y'all don't, but you just get, there's more assuredness right now.
Yeah.
Moving forward, I don't know.
Well, hold on, that's no. I'll just step in and say this right here. Look, Nick is a numbers guy. Nick is going to come in and talk about their offensive line and their run game should be better and this and that and all the rest of that. Look, Chris, they still have some of the same questions that we have.
Hey,
Look,
Chris, hold on.
as much as
hold on. Hey, Chicken 1515, thanks for the $5, man.
Oh,
thanks for that. Helps out a lot, brother.
Thank you.
All right, now go on, Chris.
Now, what I was going to say is this right here is simply this. Okay, look. As much as you want to talk about Dylan Gabriel, we have some of the same questions about Mullet.
Well, I like Dylan. That wasn't
yours. No. I'm talking directly to Nick.
Oh,
and I get it.
He doesn't have a mullet anymore,
a sophomore, not a true sophomore, but a redshirt sophomore.
That's the only thing
versus an older guy. I get it.
Hey, he ain't got a mullet no more.
But
that non-mullet.
Look, okay, all jokes aside, all I'm saying is this right here is that you guys feel that you're in a better position. However, neither team, as much as you want to say, oh, we beat y'all 49-0 without a quarterback and we had a better season last year. Fact of the matter is, it's still Texas. Texas has always recruited at a high level. You guys haven't won any championships. There's still no pedigree there for me in this past decade. Okay, you guys can go back to 2009, all the rest of that, just as much as we can go back to 2000. But what I'm saying is this right here: you guys have recruited better. I'll give you that. You recruited in what was it? Inside out or
outside
in the trenches. Yeah.
No, yeah, we didn't recruit any in the trenches. So that's why I hate when people say about the recruiting classes because we would jam pack a lot of skill positions, no offensive line and no defensive line. So those recruiting class rankings are so skewed that it doesn't make sense. But it is what it is. It is what it is. But it's fine to include that for the rankings. But I think you guys are seeing a difference in the approach in the recruiting from this staff and the previous two staffs, even Mac's last 4 or 5 years.
Nick, and I'm glad you got that out of the system because I know that's what you was going to talk about. Look, Sark has something going there. I'll give him that. He has a little bit of juice. But here's the thing. I think that this year you're going to see, I'll be the first one to say it, Nick, I was wrong. I overestimated the talent that we had on this team last year from the past few seasons from the last regime. It was not there. The preparedness and honestly just a lack of talent. It wasn't there. It wasn't at the level that we needed it to be, at least for this staff. So with that being said, I think that Venables, I think that Levy, a lot of them will learn from some of these first year mistakes as head guys going into this next year. But I think that our quarterback room is talented. I mean, it's too deep. Let's be real, but I think it's really talented. I think our wide receiver core is going to be better than what a lot of people think. We got some guys out there. We got one guy who has the potential to be a star. I think everybody on this panel would say Farouk is a guy.
I really love his game. I really enjoy watching his.
You got a transfer. You got a couple of freshmen. I think you got Stogner back. The running back core is going to be really strong. Offensive linemen. You went out there and got some really key pieces in the transfer portal, and you also know Beatonbow is going to have some good guys obviously in there. Hopefully Savion Byrd is a starter on the inside this year, but at the same time, defensively, you have no choice but to be better. And I really think that what they're doing, I mean, let's just be real. Clemson was in SEC territory. They were in SEC country. Yeah. They had to go through the SEC to win those championships. And I'm not leaning on their success for our success, but what I'm saying is that our coaches, and I know Sark, don't get me wrong, Sark was in the SEC. He was offensive coordinator, but I just feel like our coaches really were in the trenches over there, recruiting against them, and obviously building their
team. What's so interesting though? Before let me jump in real quick.
Okay, go ahead, Ty. Go ahead.
Let me jump in because I do have to hop off at 8, but I don't want y'all to cut this short because this is a great conversation, and just because I have to hop out at 8, I don't want to show. But I do want to say this: it's interesting, and in no way am I saying this is a shot, right? I just think it's interesting because of this conversation. When we look at Sark, he was with Bama, right? So like. Chris, to your point, you could argue, Sark was with Bama. He had those offenses. They had a great defense. Nino, you could argue, yeah, Clemson had great defenses. They had generational quarterback play.
And also they were going through through the ACC and not going.
So it's such an interesting. Well, no, they had to go through the SEC. So I will say that like that I don't lean as. But it's just so interesting when we look at this. Both coaches come from such a well-balanced organization, and now they inherit their own. And so I point both of that out, not to point out a deficiency, but to point out rather the opposite. These are two coaches that know what well-rounded football looks like. Sark came from somewhere that wasn't one-dimensional. Venables came from somewhere that wasn't one-dimensional. They understand that in order to win these games, we have to have great quarterback play. We have to have great defense. We have to have the entire package. And that's why it's harder for me to like just give you one answer. Sorry for the soliloquy.
No, you're good.
Go ahead, Jay. Go ahead.
Let me dive in real quick on this one. So I agree with Ty. If we go off of this year, I'm giving it to Texas. I'd say Texas is a little bit more ready. They have the wins, and they, just like you mentioned it, your recruiting classes were very heavy on skills positions and players that aren't going to be as impactful whenever you get to the nitty gritty. Where Oklahoma's was heavy on the offensive trenches and offensive skills positions. We had some defensive players, but for the most part, It was the offensive trenches and the quarterback play. That was the reason why we were winning, especially beating Texas majority of the time in the last 10 years. That's why. We focus more on that trench spot where you all did not for some very odd reason, but it's neither here nor there. I do think that this year, but as Ty said, 24, I think that Oklahoma has a little bit better positioning, and I think it's all going to be determined by this class coming in. And I say that because we've seen Sark's story. He's been a head coach at 2 other places. I'm curious to see if he can maintain this and if he can push those boosters back at Texas that is a problem always and let them give him time to do his job.
Yeah.
See you later, Ty.
See you, Ty.
Give him time to do his job.
Chris, I know your favorite color is burnt orange. It's okay.
And that's why he's going to leave with it. And that's why he left with that. But we've got to wait and see if your quote-unquote front office is going to let Sark do his thing and not come after him too early. Like right now, the quarterback battle that's going on with Arch Manning and Quinn Ewers. I'm trying to figure out why they're even anybody would report there's a quarterback battle.
Yeah.
Like, why would you do that?
No.
But that's national media. I mean, it's let's keep it real. It's a big brand.
Yeah.
And it's a Manning.
Right.
It's a Manning.
But it's also, but Sark is also letting that get out.
No,
That's
but it's
the
not,
problem.
No, I mean, I don't even think he's letting it get out. I think,
Didn't he comment and say that they were being competitive with that?
What is he supposed to say?
Shut it down. Shut it down.
Shut it down. The only reason why I say that,
he said it for every position. He goes, everybody's position's up for grabs. Best person wins. But we all know Quinn's taking all the snaps.
I get it, and I'm with you. But just as you just said, is the Manning. Shut that mess down in the media immediately, and just so you don't get the noise, because that's what the chattering is happening. That chattering is happening.
I think whether he says it or not, the media's gonna cover Arch Manning regardless.
So here,
no. I don't think that they don't cover him. I just think that the door has been the door's cracked open and it shouldn't be. That's my point, and I think that's more so because y'all are a big national brand, and you're dealing with a Manning who's a big national brand. If y'all could have closed that door and said, no, Quinn, Arch is going to come in and compete with him. Quinn's our guy for next season. We've seen him. We've got him for this year. We're going to go with him next season.
Malik's never going to play.
Here's a depth chart.
Here's something I want to jump on. Here's something else that I want to jump on because I want to add, because Jay made me think about this, okay? If the question is going to be prepared, and I know this is just one position group, and we can go down the line on each side or whatever the case may be.
What's that?
But for me, going to the SEC, I'm not comfortable saying that Texas is in a better position, knowing that after this year, most likely you're going to lose Napier, Worthy, A.D. Mitchell, and then you're going to be stuck with, obviously you're going to be left with Jonte Cook, who I think we all would probably say has a chance to be pretty damn good this year in a Sark offense especially. But the fact is that, okay, yeah, we'll get more guys, and you guys can go get another transfer probably, and then you'll be stuck with Casey Kane or Noah Kane, whatever the hell his name is. Hold on.
I see, this is where you're crazy at, because what did we just say? Texas always recruits the skill positions very well. It was the offensive line that was lacking. Now we're getting the offensive line recruiting. We're never going to have a problem recruiting skill players.
I get that, but the names you have in the room though.
Who says you have in the room though? But who says Nayer's leaving this year? After this year, he has to get healthy. A.D. Mitchell's the starter. I mean, he's taking all the first team reps. So Napier coming in on half a season. Let's say he plays the equivalent of 6 games started this year. And the same thing with A.D. Mitchell. Who says A.D. Mitchell's not going to be here for a year? Even if they do leave, you got Jonte Cook, you got DeAndre Moore. Okay, you got Ryan Niblett. These are all top 100 guys in the country. You're going to recruit well at the skill positions for the 2024 class. It's going to happen. That's just the nature of what this school has done in the past and what Sark is going to do. Those receivers want to play in his offense. Those running backs want to play in his offense. Now what you're seeing guys like Jeff Banks and Kyle Flood go out there and recruit the offensive line, which is going to make it so much easier for these guys.
Not recruit, pay. But
you guys pay too.
That's what it is. But no, what I'm saying,
I'm stuck right in the middle of
The
this.
same thing you talked
do
about
here?
with like
What
a
am I supposed to do? I can't do anything.
the thing that you kept talking about with Caleb Williams and all the rest of the stuff. I'm talking about the star, the name, the quality. I'm not talking about DeAndre Moore. I'm sure that you guys are bullish on him, whatever the case may be. And we probably would have been too if we got him. But what I'm saying is, when you hear those names, I'm not saying they're household names, but they're names that make you think twice, like, oh, snap. Yeah, that's that kid from Georgia. That's that kid that tore it up down there in the G5 that everybody wanted from Wyoming. That's worthy. Like, you're not going to have that star quality, right?
Well, they got to become a star. Was Devontae Smith a star when he caught the winning touchdown pass against Georgia? No, he wasn't a star. He didn't become a household name till the other year, right? Once people saw him do action. A lot of people don't follow recruiting like we do, okay? They're just not that invested. My wife is a through and through Alabama. She's born in Greene County, Alabama. My sister-in-laws went to Alabama. 2 nieces went to Alabama. They follow Alabama football like none other, but they don't know nothing about recruiting. They don't know who the players are until they step foot in the field. And that's the majority of the fan base.
I know, and I get that. But at the same time, all I'm saying is that when you guys that's the element of it, Nick. Mm-hmm. When you're subtracting and you're losing talent like that, I mean certified talent. I'm not talking about just, we recruited these guys and they'll come up. Don't make me tell you about Troy Murray or whatever the hell his name was. The second coming of Roy Williams and all the rest of that never happened.
Yeah, he had 2 knee injuries, man. I'm never going to knock a player for being injured. I can't knock a player for being injured.
Yeah,
Injuries
worse, yeah.
What was shout out to my boy Seth. It's been a minute, but who was that wide receiver that he always would ding you for?
Who?
The legend, what was it, Kai Money or whatnot?
He's a walk-on. I don't want to hear that. He's a walk-on.
Yeah, we're going back to the Kai Money days, baby.
He had just as many yards as Stoops. He had just as many targets and yards as Stoops, and he's on scholarship.
First off, let me tell you something. Put some respect on that boy's name. Well, we're looking at the next Wes Welker, Danny Amendola, and the list keeps going. I mean, he's going to play in the league. I don't know about Whittington, what he's going to do.
Whittington had more yards last year than Stoops had his whole career.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm happy. I hope hopefully he'll be working at he'll be a petroleum engineer or something like that. That looks good on him.
He'll be in the league.
He's not an NFL wide receiver, man.
Oh, child, please. Stop playing. Please. But getting back to your wide receiver, question. Texas is I'm not worried about the wide receiver position. We got a really good room now. Who says Napier and AD Mitchell are both leaving next year? I don't think. I think one of them leaves if they are the no-kidding starter, which I think is going to be AD Mitchell. But Napier's still coming off of a knee injury, man. So I don't think people understand. He's going to have one hell of a season to be able to go into the league next year. That's just my opinion. Now, if he comes back the next year, which I think he will, one of those guys is coming back the next year because one's going to get all the snaps. It is what it is. You guys know how Sark is. He doesn't rotate his skill position players a lot. Now you're going to have a Napier or an AD Mitchell. Worthy's probably gone after this year. We know Whittington's gone, but then you have Jonte Cook coming behind those guys, DeAndre Moore coming behind those guys, AD Mitchell coming behind those guys, and whoever doesn't play between Napier and AD Mitchell, they're going to be back. And we're going to reload at that position as well, and we're going to continue to recruit the offensive line. Offensive line, I'm very happy about. One thing Ty said that I was, that I am still worried about is they got to get more numbers on that D line. They just have to. I think they filled all the numbers up for the linebackers, getting a guy like, Anthony Hill Jr., getting Samaje Burrell, LaFau, Akana, Darian Gillette, getting Sadir Mitchell at the nose tackle, a big 6'5", 355-pound guy as a true freshman, having a Chris Ross on those teams. These guys are still being developed. I think Texas is going to be fine. They just got to get more depth. I think Texas had a lot of depth last year and a lot of depth coming this year. It's just, can they develop those players again this year to where next year in 2024 is a Jere Bledsoe, is a Chris Ross, is a Aaron
this is
Bryant.
a football channel, bro. Nobody gives a damn about Texas football. It's not football down there.
Is there 49-0? Is there an Aaron Bryant that's going to be able to come in and do and and do great things. Even at our worst, Chris, it wasn't no 49 and nothing when both teams were competitive.
Yeah, do you remember the 63-14 games? Hell, it's the same
Hey,
thing.
man,
There was a
two
couple
years
of
old.
63-point games. We were
Thing.
putting up them 60s on y'all a lot.
It's
Hey,
the same thing.
Chris,
Even
Chris,
that
Chris, you were
12
2 years
game,
old.
I know it stung because
You were
Adrian
2 years
Peterson as a
old.
freshman ran all over y'all.
You were 2 years old. I don't want to hear that.
Get the hell out of
He
here,
said
man.
He was 2
Here-
years
here's
old.
You were
here's
2
what I
years
want
old.
to do. Here's what I want to do next week. All right, limit the topics because this is what we're going to do. I
Let's go.
challenge you.
Let's do it.
Okay, I challenge you to a debate to end this. I don't know where this argument started, but we're going to end it here on the SEC Connect. Drake Stoops versus Jordan Whittington.
Not even a question.
You bring your argument, I will bring my argument. I'm going to shut the house down next week, and I'm going to provide you with all the numbers since you're a numbers guy. And we're going to let the people vote on this.
I don't even.
Who wins the debate? I challenge you. You do not want to smoke.
Drake Stoops.
Oh, man.
You do not want to smoke.
Let me see Drake Stoops. Hold on, man. Let me check his little stats out right now again. Let me see Drake Stoops, man. Let me see Drake Stoops, man. Last year, 10 yards a catch. What he had over his whole career, 8 touchdowns. Over his whole career, the boy didn't even got 1,000 yards.
Those got to be more.
In 5 seasons? Drake? Oh, come on, man. 5 seasons? Not even 1,000 yards.
Put your Jordan Whittington, who's only played one full season.
It has more yards than Drake.
Put him against Drake Stoops. That's all I got to say.
Oh, man.
Bring the smoke. Bring the smoke next
I don't
week.
even have to bring it next week. I'm going to tell you right now.
Bring the smoke next week.
I only got to bring it next week. I'm going to tell you right now. I'm going to tell you how garbage Drake Stoops has been since he's been at OU. Garbage. Hot garbage.
Wow.
Jordan Whittington. Oh, come on, man. 3 seasons, he done lapped him up. His two seasons, his 2 worst seasons, he's had more yards than Stoops has in his whole career.
All I know is when they put the film on, it won't be the same. You'll see somebody who's actually been able to play all season and not be injured like that, and then you'll see somebody who's had to sit out seasons.
And look here, Chris, that says a lot. The guy who played all season, he ain't got no more than.
No, it does say a lot because he's consistent and he's durable and he's there.
He's consistent at 5
yards
yards
first. You have to be in the building
first. Was he 5 yards a target?
But
was he 5 yards a target?
He just said 10.
What is he coming for? A 6th year this year? How many years he got in? So this year gonna be a 6th year.
Y'all not gonna stop. You're not gonna stop.
Go ahead. Go ahead, Jay.
Can we wrap this up? Let y'all debate this another day. Y'all gonna debate this for like hours. This is one of those where y'all gonna go nonstop. I'm in the barbershop. I gotta let everybody know, man. It's almost time to go. I gotta cut y'all off with this one. I gotta be the parent in this group this time around because y'all are brothers bickering at each other about y'all because it won't stop.
That boy
all right, so
my boy says he's gonna have a breakout year in the 6th year. All right. Hey man, it's all fun and games. I know he's a preferred walk-on. I get it. So it is what it is. Anyways, guys, next week, same time.
Yeah. Yeah, Jacob, I was purposely quiet because of them going back and forth, so that's the reason why I was turned down very low. It's just hilarious watching them just go back and it's just guys.
That's what people tune in for, man. This is like Skip and Shannon.
Fair, that's true. Fair, y'all are hilarious.
Really like that, though.
But right. But no, thank y'all for pulling up, man. Thank y'all, everybody in the comments. Y'all are always great. We loved having you all in. Thank you all on the Unfair Sports channel. Please subscribe to the SEC Connect channel as well. We'll be doing this stuff every Wednesday, 7 o'clock Central. And you can listen to Nick and Chris go back and forth now stuff about Drake Stoops and other random players.
Yeah, random people. Random people.
All right, man. Hey, Chris, tell everybody they can find you, man.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Chris with a K. excuse me, Chris with a K, Horns Down Pod. You guys can find me on Twitter. You already know what I'm talking about. Not Texas all the time, but we roasting them. So yeah, that's where you can find us.
You can find real Texas content at Nino's Corner Sports. Just go to Nino's Corner on Twitter, everywhere. Where I have Texas content all the time, but Chris tweets more about Texas than I do. So that should tell you something about who his favorite team is. But on that note, man, we're gonna end this thing, man. We appreciate you guys, man. I'm gonna hook them all day long.
I can't wait till next week's gonna be fun. Hey, I got a great topic next week. We're gonna talk NIL. Oklahoma's got a bill that's just popped up. I did a video on it earlier.
Yeah.
And a few people have asked and said they want to get y'all's opinion. I actually want to get Ty's as well. So I think having him and Steven next week would be great because it's gonna be a fun one to see if Oklahoma really is challenging the NCAA. So we'll talk about that next week.
Good. It's gonna be good. NIL's changing the game.
Changing the game.
All right, folks. Man, see y'all, man.
Peace.
Peace.